Our story begins not in a grand laboratory, but in a cold, dark cave. Imagine a place in Siberia, nestled within the Altai Mountains. This is the Denisova cave. For thousands of years, it held a secret about our own family tree. In 2008, scientists found a tiny piece of a finger bone. It belonged to a young girl who lived there more than 50,000 years ago. At first, they thought she might be a Neanderthal, another ancient human relative. But the story turned out to be much more surprising and far more complex than anyone could have ever imagined at the time. Scientists took this tiny bone fragment and performed a kind of genetic magic. They extracted its ancient DNA. DNA is the instruction book for life, found in every cell of our bodies. It tells the story of our ancestors. When they read the DNA from this finger bone, they found something astonishing. It didn't match modern humans. It didn't match Neanderthals either. It was something new, a previously unknown branch of the human family. They named these mysterious people the Denisovans, after the cave where their story was first whispered back to us through the mists of time. This discovery was like finding a new planet in our own solar system. It rewrote the map of human evolution. We learned that our ancestors, Homo sapiens, were not alone on this world. They walked the earth alongside other kinds of humans, and they didn't just walk past each other. They met, they interacted, and they had children together. This intermingling left a permanent mark, a faint echo of these ancient encounters. That echo is still present today, hiding in plain sight within the DNA of billions of people living all across the globe. So who were these Denisovans? We still know very little about them. We have only a few small fossils, that finger bone, a few teeth, and a piece of a skull. But their genetic legacy tells a much bigger story. It tells us they were widespread, living across Asia. And it tells us that their genes provided a powerful toolkit for survival. A toolkit that would be passed down through generations, eventually helping our own ancestors conquer new worlds. This is the story of how a ghost from a Siberian cave helped shape the destiny of an entire continent. Picture our ancient ancestors, Homo sapiens, leaving Africa. This was not a single, planned event. It was a slow, sprawling migration that unfolded over tens of thousands of years. They were driven by curiosity, by changing climates, by the simple need to find new sources of food. These early humans were explorers, venturing into lands no human had ever seen before. They moved across the Middle East, into Asia, and across Europe. They were stepping into a world that was both wondrous and incredibly dangerous, filled with challenges they had never encountered before. As they moved into Asia, they entered a new territory. This was a land already inhabited. For countless generations, the Denisovans had called this continent home. They were adapted to its unique environments, from the cold mountains to the humid tropics. Our ancestors were the newcomers. They had to learn to survive in these strange lands. This is where our family story takes an interesting turn. Our ancestors met the Denisovans. We don't know the details of these meetings, but we know what happened next. They had children together, mixing their DNA and creating a shared lineage. This interbreeding was not just a historical footnote, it was a crucial survival strategy. Think of it like a cosmic software update. The Denisovans had spent millennia adapting to Asia. Their DNA contained the code for surviving its unique diseases, its different foods, and its challenging climates. By interbreeding, our ancestors received a genetic gift. They acquired some of this pre-adapted DNA. It was a shortcut to survival, a way to quickly gain the biological tools needed to thrive in a new home, saving them thousands of years of slow, trial-and-error evolution. Their journey did not end in Asia. One group of these explorers pushed ever eastward. They followed the herds of mammoth and bison. They eventually reached the edge of the continent, a place we now call Siberia. During the last ice age, sea levels were much lower. A vast land bridge called Beringia connected Asia to the Americas. These brave pioneers, carrying a mixed heritage of Homo sapiens and Denisovan DNA, stepped onto this bridge. They were about to enter a new world, a continent untouched by humans. Their ancient genetic inheritance would prove more valuable than ever. When those first people crossed the Bering Land Bridge, they carried the story of their ancestors within their very cells. Their DNA was a mosaic, a tapestry woven from different threads of human history. The largest part of their genetic code was from their Homo sapiens ancestors who had left Africa. But woven into that code were small, precious fragments from their encounters in Asia. They carried the genetic legacy of the Denisovans. This wasn't a random mix. It was a curated collection of genes that had already proven useful for survival in harsh northern environments. Scientists made this incredible connection by comparing the DNA of modern indigenous peoples of the Americas with the ancient DNA recovered from the Denisova cave. They found a clear signal. A specific set of Denisovan genes appeared more frequently in these populations than in people from other parts of the world, like Europe or Africa. This was a telltale sign. It meant that these particular genes were not just passive hitchhikers. They were actively selected for. They must have provided a significant advantage, helping these first Americans survive and thrive as they populated 2 new continents. What kind of advantage could these genes offer? The Americas presented a whole new set of challenges. There were new pathogens, unfamiliar bacteria and viruses that their immune systems had never seen. There were different food sources that required new ways of digestion. The climate varied dramatically, from the frozen Arctic tundra in the north to the humid jungles in the south. The Denisovan DNA these people carried was like a survival kit, filled with tools that had been tested and proven effective in similar environments across Asia for thousands of years before they arrived. This genetic inheritance is a powerful reminder of our deep, interconnected history. The journey to the Americas was one of the last great human migrations. It was made possible not just by human ingenuity and courage, but also by the biological gifts passed down from our ancient cousins. The story of the first peoples is, in part, a Denisovan story. It's a testament to how interbreeding between different human groups was not an evolutionary dead end, but a vital source of strength and resilience, allowing our species to conquer every corner of the planet. Let's zoom in on one specific gene, a true superstar in this story of ancient adaptation. It's called MUC19. That might sound like a technical name from a science textbook, but its function is something we experience every day. The MUC19 gene holds the instructions for making a special type of protein called a mucin. Mucins are the main ingredient in mucus. They are what make our saliva slimy and sticky. This might not sound very glamorous, but this stickiness is one of our body's first and most important lines of defense against the outside world. Think about your mouth. It's a gateway to the inside of your body. Every time you breathe, eat, or drink, you are introducing foreign particles. This includes dust, pollen, and most importantly, tiny microbes like bacteria and viruses. The mucin proteins produced by the MUC19 gene create a protective barrier. They form a slippery, sticky layer that lines your mouth, throat, and digestive tract. This layer acts like flypaper for germs. It traps these unwanted invaders before they can get further into your system and cause infection or disease. Now here is the fascinating part. The version of the MUC19 gene found in many indigenous Americans has a unique origin. It comes directly from the Denisovans. Our Homo sapiens ancestors who left Africa had their own version of this gene, but the Denisovan version was different. It was likely fine-tuned to deal with the specific microbes found in Asia. When our ancestors inherited this Denisovan gene, they acquired a powerful new shield. It was a biological upgrade, specifically tailored to the new microbial landscape they were entering as they moved through Asia and into the Americas. This Denisovan MUC19 gene is a perfect example of adaptive introgression. That's a scientific term for borrowing a useful gene from another species. It's nature's way of sharing survival secrets. Instead of waiting thousands of years to evolve a better defense system from scratch, our ancestors got one ready-made from the Denisovans. This single gene, responsible for the quality of their saliva, may have been a critical factor in their ability to survive the journey across Beringia and successfully colonize the vast new lands of the Americas. Imagine you are one of the first humans stepping into the Americas. The air is different. The water is different. The soil is teeming with microbes your body has never met. Every meal, every sip of water is a gamble. Your immune system is facing a constant barrage of unknown threats. In this environment, having a robust first line of defense is not just helpful, it's essential for survival. This is where the Denisovan MUC19 gene became, well, a biological hero. The specialized mucin it produced created a stickier, more effective salivary barrier. This enhanced saliva did more than just trap germs. The mucin proteins also helped to lubricate food, making it easier to swallow and digest. This could have been super important when adapting to new, tougher plant materials or different kinds of meat. Furthermore, a healthy layer of mucus in the mouth protects teeth from decay and helps maintain a balanced microbiome, the community of good bacteria that live in our mouths. By supporting overall oral health, the Denisovan MUC19 gene provided a comprehensive advantage that went beyond simply fighting off new infections. The proof of its importance lies in its prevalence. When scientists look at the genomes of indigenous peoples across North and South America, they find this Denisovan version of MUC19 at a remarkably high frequency. This is a classic signature of positive selection. It means that individuals who carried this gene were more likely to survive, have healthy children, and pass the gene on to the next generation. Over time, this incredibly useful gene spread throughout the population. It was a clear case of survival of the fittest, where fittest meant having the stickiest saliva. So, a simple protein in saliva, a gift from a long-lost human relative, played a crucial role in one of humanity's greatest adventures. It helped protect the health of the first Americans, allowing them to withstand the microscopic challenges of a new world. It's a powerful illustration of how evolution works in mysterious ways. Sometimes, the key to conquering a new continent isn't about being stronger or faster, but about having the right kind of mucus. It's a humble but profound example of how our ancient past is still working to protect us today. The story of our genetic inheritance is richer and more complex than a single gene. The MUC19 gene is a fantastic example, but honestly, it was just one tool in a much larger kit. When our ancestors interbred with Denisovans, they picked up a whole suite of useful genes. Think of it, really, as downloading an entire folder of survival apps. One of the most significant of these was a gene called EPAS1. This gene is sometimes called the super athlete gene, and it provides a remarkable advantage for living at high altitudes where the air is thin and oxygen is scarce. The Denisovan version of EPAS1 helps the body use oxygen more efficiently without overproducing red blood cells, which can lead to health problems. Today, this gene is found in nearly all modern Tibetans, allowing them to thrive on the high-altitude Tibetan plateau. It's a direct gift from their Denisovan ancestors, who were clearly well adapted to life in the mountains of Asia. This same genetic advantage would have been invaluable for the first Americans as they moved south and settled in high-altitude regions like the Andes Mountains, which, by the way, is one of the longest mountain ranges in the world. Beyond adapting to altitude, Denisovan DNA also seems to have contributed to our immune systems in broader ways. Our ancestors moving into new lands were exposed to a bestiary of new viroses and bacteria. The Denisovans, having lived in Asia for hundreds of thousands of years, had immune systems that were already primed to recognize and fight these local pathogens. By inheriting parts of their immune system genes, Homo sapiens gained a crucial head start. This genetic transfer armed them against diseases that could have otherwise halted their expansion into new territories. This mixing of genes highlights a fundamental truth about human evolution. We are a hybrid species. Our success as a species is not just a story of our own ingenuity, but also a story of collaboration and integration. We borrowed the best biological ideas from our relatives. The Denisovans provided genes for living at high altitude and for fighting specific diseases. As we will see, our other close relatives, the Neanderthals, offered a different set of genetic gifts. Our genome is a mosaic, assembled from the legacies of all the different humans who came before us. Our family reunion of ancient humans includes another very important group, the Neanderthals. They were our closest extinct relatives, living primarily in Europe and Western Asia. Just as our ancestors met and mingled with Denisovans in the East, they also met and interbred with Neanderthals in the West. This means that many humans today, especially those with European or Asian ancestry, carry a small percentage of Neanderthal DNA. But the gifts we received from these two ancient groups were different, reflecting the different environments they had adapted to. Neanderthals had lived through multiple ice ages in Europe. Their DNA provided our ancestors with genes that were useful for surviving in cold northern climates. For example, some Neanderthal genes are associated with having thicker skin and hair, which would have provided better insulation against the cold. Other genes influenced how our bodies manage fat, a crucial resource for energy and warmth. They also contributed to our immune systems, but their contributions were tailored to the pathogens of Europe, which were different from those in Asia where the Denisovans lived. The Denisovan genetic legacy, as we've seen, was geared more towards the unique challenges of Asia. This included adaptations for high-altitude environments, like the EPAS1 gene, and defenses against Asian microbes, like the MUC19 gene. It's as if our ancestors went to two different specialty stores. From the Neanderthals, they picked up a winter survival kit. From the Denisovans, they got a high-altitude exploration pack and a tropical medicine kit. Each set of genes was valuable, but for different reasons and in different places. This distinction helps us understand the patterns of ancient DNA we see in modern populations. People with European ancestry tend to have more Neanderthal DNA, and very little, if any, Denisovan DNA. In contrast, people in East Asia, Southeast Asia, and especially Melanesia have the highest levels of Denisovan DNA found anywhere in the world. And the first peoples of the Americas, whose ancestors traveled through Denisovan territory on their long journey, carry a unique signature from that encounter. Our DNA tells the geographic story of where our ancestors walked and who they met along the way. The genes we inherited from our ancient cousins are not just relics of a distant past. They continue to affect our health and biology today, in ways that are both beneficial and sometimes challenging. The world we live in is vastly different from the world of the Stone Age. An adaptation that was once a lifesaver can sometimes have unintended consequences in a modern environment with modern diets and lifestyles. This creates a complex picture where our ancient DNA can be both a blessing and a curse for our contemporary health. For example, some of the Neanderthal genes that helped our ancestors store fat more efficiently to survive long, cold winters might now contribute to a higher risk of obesity and type 2 diabetes in a world where high-calorie food is abundant and readily available. Similarly, some immune system genes inherited from both Neanderthals and Denisovans, which were once crucial for fighting off infections, are now linked to autoimmune diseases, where the immune system becomes overactive and attacks the body's own tissues. It's a mismatch between our ancient programming and our modern lives. However, the positive impacts are still very much with us. The Denisovan NUC19 gene continues to protect millions of people from pathogens with every swallow. The EPAS1 gene still allows people to live and work in some of the highest places on Earth. And many other ancient immune genes continue to provide robust defenses against viruses. In 2020, scientists even discovered that a stretch of Neanderthal DNA appeared to offer some protection against severe symptoms of COVID-19. Our ancient relatives are still helping us fight modern plagues. This ongoing influence of ancient DNA is a field of exciting and rapidly advancing research. By studying these genetic ghosts, scientists are gaining profound new insights into human health and disease. Understanding how these genes function can help us develop new treatments and personalized medicine tailored to an individual's unique genetic background. It shows us that to understand who we are today and to build a healthier future, we must first look back and understand the deep and tangled roots of our shared evolutionary story. Our past is not behind us, it is within us. When we look up at the night sky, we see countless stars. We know that we are made of stardust, the recycled atoms forged in the hearts of long-dead stars. In a similar way, when we look at our own DNA, we see that we are made of human dust. We are the recycled genes and remixed legacies of all the different kinds of humans who came before us. The story of the Denisovans and the first Americans is a powerful chapter in this grand human saga. It reminds us that our species' journey was never a straight line, but a beautiful, branching river. This story dismantles the simple idea of a linear human evolution, where one species neatly replaces another. Instead, it reveals a messier, more interesting reality. A world where different human groups coexisted for millennia, competing at times, but also cooperating and connecting in the most intimate way possible. We are not just Homo sapiens. We are Homo sapiens with a little bit of Neanderthal, and for some, a little bit of Denisovan. We are a species defined by our connections, by our ability to embrace and integrate the other. The fact that a gene from a girl who lived in a Siberian cave 50,000 years ago is now protecting people living in the Amazon rainforest, or the high Andes is a testament to our profound interconnectedness. It collapses time and space. It links that ancient girl to modern people in a direct biological chain of inheritance. It shows us that humanity is a single, vast, extended family with a shared and surprisingly diverse ancestry. We all carry pieces of this ancient puzzle within us, fragments of stories we are only just now learning how to read. Ultimately, this journey into our own genes is a journey of self-discovery. It tells us that our ability to adapt and thrive comes from this rich genetic diversity. It was our ancestors' willingness to mix with other groups that gave us the toolkit to survive ice ages, to colonize new continents, and to fight off diseases. As we face the challenges of the future, on this planet and perhaps beyond, this story from our deep past offers a vital lesson. Our strength has always been and will always be found in our connections to one another. We are all, in the truest sense, cosmic cousins.